morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Huddle Up Moms for the 2020 Roanoke Pregnancy and Postpartum Resource Summit. We are joined today by Tara Daystar from Ancient Roots Midwifery and Doula Care for an exciting session, Navigating the Postpartum, Thriving, Not Just Surviving. We will be taking questions through the Q&A feature below your screen, but we'll definitely welcome comments in our chat box. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Tara Daystar.
Hi, I'm Tara, and thank you for joining me at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. But it's a great place to be here. And my goal today is to help you start to think about the postpartum, or if you're already in the postpartum, to learn some new skills, techniques that could help you have a smoother ride. And when I think about the postpartum, I'm really thinking about, honestly, the first couple of years after birth, but especially the first 6 weeks. But it really is this longer term process of adjusting to having a young child or another child and caring for yourself through your own recovery. I know that there may be some men on this call. Most of what I'm going to be speaking about, I will address more towards mothers or the birther, but so much of what I say is very relevant for partners. And the handouts that I will be including, showing you, and also including in sort of after notes are wonderful for both the birther and their partner. So yes, I also want to point out, you might be here because you have a friend who is going to have a baby and you are one of their support people. So yeah, I want to also equip you with more understanding about what to expect in their postpartum and how you might be of good support. So yay for all those friends that are showing up. So I'm a birth and postpartum doula. I mainly focus on birth doula care. And I noticed that, we often put a lot of money and time and energy into educating ourselves about the childbirth process. I think in part because it's the unknown, it can feel scary. We want to have the optimal and the safest experience. And I think that's all very worthy. But it can also be a common experience not to have really prepared for the postpartum. And so you might feel very knowledgeable about birth and still experience some surprises because birth is unlike your ordinary reality. But in the postpartum, you might think, oh my goodness, like I didn't take a class on this, but I did on childbirth. And that was one day of my life. And this is like an extended period of my life. I did not expect to be feeling these things emotionally or physically. So it can be a bit of a shock, and my goal is not to scare anybody, but it is to increase realistic expectations and understanding, and again, tools to navigate this period. And I do want to practice my new screen sharing tools. I want to show you a little clip, and I think it's valuable. It's about a product. Frida Mom is a mother. She recognized there weren't many products for women. There's lots of things for babies, but not for us. And she's created some advertising that I think is just really trying to create an understanding of when you are a mother with a newborn or birther with a newborn, you often feel very pulled between caring for your child and caring for yourself. And both beings really need that care. So this is actually a discussion about a Freedom Mom advertisement, and I included the discussion because I love the commentators for both women, what they're kind of saying about it. The question is, should it have been banned by the Oscars? I don't care what you think. I don't really care if it was part of the Oscars or not, but I just think this discussion and this advertisement is a good setup to what we are going to be talking about today. So I'm going to, let's see, share the screen. Let's see. 1 second. Hold on. Okay, I believe I'm going to press play.
Okay. You listed it all. I can't wait to hear your reaction. Can I tell you? Well, you're like, oh my God, I remember those moments in my life. It's the 4th trimester. That's what it's called, right? People don't explain that to you. They explain how to take care of your babies, but they don't explain how to take care of yourself. Okay. And so, and that's something that people need to learn about, right? Because you're redefining yourself as a mother, and you're going through that while you're physically trying to prepare yourself with everything that happened. Yeah. So it is real. Maybe it's too real. You listed off the fact that you talked about feminine
hygiene products
yep.
and adult diapers. So if those are in the guidelines for the Oscars, they don't want anything like that shown in terms of commercials for products like that. This technically does sort of fall into that category. Yeah. I think the bigger...
Is it too real for you?
So my initial reaction was, oh my God, my mom had 5 kids. Like, that poor lady. I think it's important that everyone... Okay, here. it would be really nice if we got to a point in life where this wasn't horrible, because this is real life. And people have babies. This is what it looks like. So women need to be, you know, we're superheroes. But is it too much to see on TV with, you know, the general public while you're watching the Oscars? I don't know. It might be too much.
But at the same time, to get a commercial like that during the Oscars, which is very raw and real, it will start a discussion.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point of that commercial, is really showing what women go through, and this is exactly what you go through. So
It's true. And yeah, I want to make sure I said that name right. I think the commercials like these shouldn't be banned. They need to understand the truth.
So I'm just going to stop that briefly. We actually started a little later. I'm going to go back so you can see some clips of this commercial. It's very striking. It's made a huge mark on social media. Here we go.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hi, Erin. How are you? Sorry about that confusion. We'll just, and then Dominique too. Yeah, but on the, no problem on the page of Dominique, and then we'll just do that in an hour.
Okay. All right, I just stopped the sharing. I hope that translated well and streamed well for everybody. So that commercial, there were moms when that came out that were writing in saying, oh my gosh, I had flashbacks from my postpartum. Like, that was so realistic. So if you are watching this and you remember those days, give us a thumbs up. Whether you have a vaginal birth or cesarean birth, there's often bleeding. With vaginal birth, there might be like some suturing that's healing. You notice her baby's crying in the background, but she literally can't attend to her baby because she has to take care of herself. So this can really sum up that postpartum period. And what I love the commentators speaking about, and what Freedom Mom speaks about a lot, is, you know, we aren't preparing women for what comes next. And that often can lead to fear and overwhelm. So moving in towards sort of solving that problem, or at least promoting greater understanding and preparation, I want to share with you some of my best tips. Now, I created a checklist that will be available to you, but I want to just kind of speak about it today and elaborate in some important ways. I want you to have tools for your postpartum, whether you're 6 weeks in or a year in. So the first thing is plan and prepare. Even if you are already in your postpartum, there actually is a wonderful, realistic postpartum plan that you can get from Postpartum Support Virginia. There's actually going to be a link where you can download this and print it out. And it's all about really thinking about what you're going to need, who's going to bring you nutritious meals, who are those friends that you can call when you are having a very bad day and you just need to call someone and have a good cry. Who do you trust to be there for you? They might be 5 states away, but you write down their number. So on that rough day when you're not thinking straight, you can go to them. Another thing I love about this postpartum plan is it really starts that discussion. If you fill it out with your partner and or family members, because some mothers do not have a partner, so they have other support people. When you fill that out, it gives you an opportunity to really have those discussions with your main support people about who's doing what and what people are maybe willing to offer and not. I think that sometimes we have assumptions, and sometimes those assumptions work out well and sometimes they don't. So for instance, your partner may be assuming that you'll do all the diaper changes, whereas you might be assuming that you're both going to do diaper changes because you both have hands and are both capable of diaper changes. So trying to deal with that in the postpartum while you haven't slept, you're bleeding and you're hormonal, that is like just one thing that is difficult, and that might be when you need to talk about it. But if you can do some of these things prenatally, that can be really supportive. I am hearing some background noise. I don't know if that's from a participant or feedback.
That might be ours. We're running our sessions here, but I can mute.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm just, yeah, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
affecting the audio, but I can kind of hear it, but I'll just keep going. So yeah, those discussions with your care people can be very valuable and also support your relationship moving through birth with less hiccups. If you are discussing your postpartum plan, you know, what kind of support you might need, who's going to do the cooking, who's going to help with cleaning, and you and your support people, you might decide you need more help. You might decide to invest in a postpartum doula when you realistically look at what's going to be happening. My husband thought that babies would be out of diapers in 6 weeks. And he was shocked when I told him it takes a couple of years. And I didn't even realize he had that unrealistic expectation, and he didn't either. And it was like a big deal to discover this. So I highly recommend it. And sometimes actually couples counseling can be very useful. You might find that you have very different expectations. So working through that with support prenatally is a great, great idea. You also can put in the numbers for lactation support if you need. I will tell you from personal experience, after you give birth, your hands are full, you might not be sleeping as much, and sometimes our logical brain cannot, you know, remember to find that number of that person we heard about. So this is your lifesaver plan, so you don't actually have to think as much when you need support. Another great thing to do to have the best postpartum possible is to fill out the postpartum promise. And I'm actually going to share that. I think this is really important. Let's see, I'm going to pull that up. Okay, the postpartum promise was created again by groups just wanting to support families and provide some education. So what I love about this is it talks about risk factors, because many people don't understand there are some risk factors. It doesn't mean you're going to have postpartum mood changes, but it's just good to be aware. And then it kind of breaks it down into the baby blues, postpartum depression, and postpartum psychosis. Now, baby blues are really normal. And I think when we talk about postpartum depression, there can be like nervousness, like, you know, what if I'm upset? Is that normal? Am I psychotic? Like, actually, baby blues is very normal. Most moms have crying periods of adjustment. In fathers too, we're learning that fathers often do experience some mood changes in the postpartum that they may need to work through. But what is so great about this is it helps you break it down. It dispels any illusions or misconceptions. And the top part, you're actually giving this to I recommend two people that you trust. People, they might be your partner, they may not be your partner, they might be friends or a family member. Someone that you feel could come to you if they're noticing that you seem depressed. You might be so into it that you're not really aware. So if that friend says, hey, you know, you had me sign this promise that I'd reach out to you and support you if I notice certain things. I'm noticing these, I'm here for you, I love you, I want to help. Having a friend that can do that with you is amazing, or a partner. Having those lifeguards in advance can also give you a peace of mind that there's people watching out for you. If you are struggling, it won't be the first thing you have to bring up. There are people who are actively, you know, your lifeguards watching out for you. And that right there can actually prevent some of the anxiety about it. So I love this form. I love that education. And it's great to learn a little bit prenatally. It's great to learn about it in the postpartum. And just so you know, learning about it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Sometimes we're maybe nervous, like if we learn about it, are we going to like make it happen? But no. And just know it's normal to have mood changes. And that's why you want support in the postpartum, because there's a lot going on. So, so those are two ways to really plan and prepare and to set the stage for a successful postpartum. Also, I've had clients who maybe, again, sometimes our assumptions can really get to us. They may not have discussed when they're taking leave with their work, and they may not realize their boss expects them to literally labor until their contractions start. They might have assumed they would, you know, stop working at their due date or 2 weeks before. So part of preparing for the postpartum is asking those important questions, advocating for your leave. And again, one key to a postpartum that's as restful, and if you're breastfeeding to support successful breastfeeding, is actually really advocating for as much leave as you can if you are, you know, intending to go back to work, because that is associated with less postpartum depression for some women, and certainly less issues with breastfeeding and breast milk supply. So there's some other great ideas on this handout, like connecting with your La Leche League again before you give birth, so that it's just, everything's just easier. If you've done it once before, La Leche League is completely open to pregnant moms too. Another part of this checklist I have created is to buy the stuff for you, not just for baby. So the Freedom Mom has great products. I have a friend that just bought the box, and it has like all the stuff to help you feel good after birth, or as good as possible. A really nice peri bottle, lots of ice packs. There's also something called a sitz bath that you can, sit in. That again helps with that discomfort that you saw in the commercial we were discussing. I mean, it's real, it's physical, and so what might you need in the postpartum to feel your best? That might mean having your partner commit to watching your newborn because you might want some physical therapy or help with your pelvic floor. That might mean having some hired help so that you can rest or spend more time with your older children. Many times our baby showers in this culture are focused around gifts for babies. And I don't know if anyone else had this problem. I had like 500 newborn onesies. I didn't have a lot of 6-month-old clothing given to me or 1 year. It was just all onesies, all, perfect condition because babies don't even crawl and get them dirty. And, it's really nice if you are going to a baby shower or a mother blessing of some sort, consider, maybe that mom would like some breast pads or some really great chocolate for herself, or a gift certificate to yoga classes. Think about that mom, think about yourself, and consider investing. Maybe you can actually invest less in baby things. Your baby might not need all the latest toys and gadgets, whereas a couple for you could be a game changer. Again, lactation support, that can be a financial investment. Your insurance may cover it. Definitely try, it may not, but investing, you might need to invest several $100s in lactation support, but that could save you several thousand in formula and provide health benefits. So whatever you choose, I'm all about supporting moms in their own feeding choices, but really think about that. Think about the math, think about what an investment means and how you can make the investment and get the best return. And investing in yourself as a woman, I don't think, or as a birther, I don't think any birther should feel guilty for investing in their ability to birth safely or their ability to feed their child in the way that they want or their ability to rest and recover from childbirth. Whether you have a vaginal birth or cesarean, this is going to affect your health in the long term, and it's really important to value that. Before I go to the next thing, are any questions come up or feedback we might want to share?
No questions, but definitely feedback. So Tara, this is perfect because I just recently gave birth to my daughter in July. And so all of the things you're saying are resonating with me, like taking care of yourself. I guess my question personally is, how can you tell the difference between baby blues, postpartum depression, and just like being overwhelmed as a mom? Because I have, 2 bonus kids that are 7 and 13. And then I also have Charlie, who's 16 months old, and I have a 3-month-old. So how can you tell the difference if it's blues, postpartum depression, or just overwhelm?
Yes, that is a great question. And I'd love to talk about that a bit. And also, I know today there will be speakers that specifically do talk about postpartum mood disorders. So that will be like more in depth. But I love, how you're sharing your experience. And even when you talk about it, you're like, I know that I am juggling like 50 balls here, needs and developmental stages. So sometimes it helps just to look at your life and give yourself some compassion. Like, would it be normal for me to feel overwhelmed? I would guess yes. I think I would feel overwhelmed. Is overwhelmed necessarily a mood disorder? So if the overwhelm is leading to thoughts of self-harm, or if the overwhelm is impacting your life in a way that you are maybe losing connection, maybe you're having anxiety attacks, you might feel like you can't cry or you can't eat, or if it's affecting your life in a way that you are noticing, or the people that you most trust and most love you are noticing, is very impactful. That might be a really good sign that it's time to look out for help. If you feel overwhelmed, and yes, sometimes it's hard to get that meal in, and sometimes you have to cry because you're just overwhelmed, and that's a normal, natural, crying is a way to release stress hormones.
Okay.
So I don't want to pathologize something that is very normal. When our hormones come in, when our milk comes in, you are probably going to cry, and that doesn't mean you're going down the slippery slope to psychosis. Like, I have held so many moms' hands and they have cried when their milk came in and said, I cried too. And they're like, you did? I'm like, yeah. So I want to normalize those emotional changes for dads too. They're finding dads sometimes have some depression afterwards. The thought is though, is it temporary? Is it long-term? Is it affecting someone's ability to function? So baby blues, you might find that coming, around the milk, the first couple weeks. Postpartum depression, you're noticing this extended period and it's more intense. Again, perhaps thoughts of, I can't cope, I might want to harm myself. Anytime there's like a focus on perhaps self-harm being a way to escape, that is like a really big red flag. And just so you know, many people delay getting care because they're worried it will just mean a medication. Could that affect breastfeeding? Would that be addictive? There's actually other tools such as getting more sleep at night that has been shown to completely stop the symptoms for some moms. Getting a complete sleep cycle, 4 hours. So, again, assumptions, I brought this up a lot, but, you talking to someone, you can actually learn about all your choices, whether it's talk therapy, medication, having more help at home, reaching out to family, hiring a postpartum doula, or just having dad or your partner take one of those nightly feeds. There could be some more simple solutions to this than we realize. And then postpartum psychosis is the most rare. It only affects 0.1 to 0.2% of women. And I like to point that out because I was scared to death that this was going to happen to me, because this is what you hear about in the news, and it is a tragedy. It's heartbreaking. It is incredibly rare. And this is when you might actually be having, you might be seeing things that aren't there. It's like a mental break with reality. And it tends to be something that people notice, but not always. So it is very extreme. I just want to reassure everyone that it's highly, highly, highly unlikely that this would be your situation. But again, the postpartum promise is all about making sure there are people in your life who know that this can happen, that are keeping an eye on it, and who, if they're noticing you're having a hard time, say, hey, do you feel like this is baby blues, or how long has this been going on for you, and what do you think might help? Can I help out more? Can we help this get better, or do we need to reach out for something? So it's a discussion, and again, that discussion can lead to more peace and more ease and healthiness for the whole family. And again, don't feel bad about getting help, because postpartum depression can eventually affect your child's development. So it is important to care for yourself as a mother and as a father. If you're a father watching this, that is, there are actually support groups for fathers. Some people say more than hormones, it's about your life has completely changed, whether you're a man or a woman. And if you had a marriage, you might experience turmoil, a death in your family, a birth in your family. This is part of growing and part of life. We just need to navigate it safely. It's a great question. Does that kind of answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I guess what's the process of obtaining a postpartum doula? Like, where in the life cycle of your pregnancy and postpartum would you reach out to a postpartum doula?
Yeah. Well, since there's currently COVID, I would say the sooner the better, because there might be less availability and you might need to do a little bit more planning, but you can really reach out at any point. I've had people plan to hire me or hire me last minute, for instance. There's also postpartum, you could have a postpartum doula who can help you learning how to use your breast pump, talk about self-care, show you techniques. A postpartum doula can help you in many facets, but you might just need to hire the teenager that's super safe and homeschooling down the street, whose parents because you just need some extra hands, and you just need to help her learn how to hold your baby. So you have a couple hours. So some people might need that more intensive support to get them, to support that breastfeeding relationship, or to really to listen to their birth story maybe, and really offer them compassionate listening from an experienced ear from someone who is a mother. Others might just need an extra hand or a house cleaner. So it's never too late to look for that care. And it's pretty rare in our area, but some doulas even offer overnight care. You might say, like, I just need to sleep, and you can hire an overnight doula who comes into your house. They stay there. When your baby cries, they bring your baby to you. They help you with that latch if you need. When baby's fed, they put the baby down, or if the baby's still fussy, because babies cry at night sometimes for hours. They will rock that baby. They will care for your child until your child settles while you get to sleep. So if you are, struggling with mood, sometimes sleep is the best remedy, and a postpartum doula can help with that, as can partners. So. Yeah, another thing, so COVID does affect postpartum care. I think we can be more isolated, but luckily with Zoom, you know, La Leche leagues are still happening via Zoom. You can connect with other mothers. There's still tools like the meal train. So pre-COVID, many families, I live in Floyd, so especially in Floyd, but I think in many areas, we like to celebrate a new addition to the family by bringing food. And some people have felt like with COVID, we really can't support a family in that way, but actually you can safely, I believe. So the meal train is an online service. It's completely free, where you could have your friend, you could have your doula or your postpartum doula, your partner set this up for you. They set up days on a calendar. If you have any special food needs, allergies, they can put that in, favorite dishes. They basically create this sort of module that they can send to your support network, your friends, family, church, and individuals can then sign up to bring a meal on a various day. So with COVID, you could have people drop off those meals in a cooler on your porch instead of trying to come in and visit and hold your baby. That I personally, as a birth worker, don't feel that it is an appropriate time to pass around a baby or have people, you know, baby, like it's not a good time for that. So put that cooler on your porch. You can also ask for dishes that can be put in the oven. So casseroles would be very safe. You got your casserole, you stick it in the oven versus a fresh salad that someone might have, you know, sneezed on. Again, it's mainly not transmitted by food, which is good, but you can create as much safety as you need. And of course, you can always include in your meal train sort of invitation. Do not bring food if you wind up sick or are coming down with a cold. Just don't bring it because yes, you'd rather not have a prepared meal than to get an illness in the postpartum. So you can also through meal train buy gift certificates at local restaurants. So takeout's an option. You can, you know, you might be in California, your friend might be in Virginia. So you can actually, if you send this link out to the people that you're close to, they can support you from very far distances. And it can just make things a little more fun. And it's a way to feel the caring of your community in a time where you may not have that face-to-face connection and celebration. So meal trains are awesome. Again, like, I don't know if you've heard about the witching hour, but many newborns do have a fussy period from like, you're nodding like you know what there's like, it's called the witching hour. It can last like 4 hours, you know, it can be crying. That's not even colic. Oftentimes, like if it gets to a certain point, it might be considered colic, but it's considered somewhat normal to have this fussy period. We don't totally understand it. Maybe the newborn's overstimulated or they're figuring out their digestion. So having somewhat a prepared meal in a fussy period means one less thing to juggle, and it can be a true boon, which is really nice. Another thing on my checklist is consider your whole self and your whole health. So I want to slow down. I know I'm talking fast because I want to share these ideas with you, but you saw the mom in that movie and she, you know, her baby needs her. I bet the second she finishes changing her pad, she's going to like go take care of baby and then try to sleep. And, you know, you can feel very stretched thin. And I also think that our media sometimes really focuses on the mother as a caretaker only. And you might feel completely in love with your child and you might be a caretaker, absolutely, but you still, most women on planet Earth, most birthers on planet Earth still have desires and might have career goals. You might miss your girlfriends. You are still you. You just have a lot more happening and you might love that, but it's absolutely okay and natural to still feel sorrow at parts of your life you're not expressing the way you're used to, people you're not seeing the way you used to, especially in COVID. So I am here to let you know that part of thriving in the postpartum and not just surviving it is just taking full account of your whole self. Surviving means I'm just feeding my baby, I'm just coping, I'm just barely getting by physically, I'm barely getting by emotionally, I'm just surviving this. I'm not thriving, I'm not having fun. Many moms get there. I've even been there myself. And you'd think I would know better, but I've been there. And we often get there at times. I've so been there. So when you're there, or if you want to avoid being there, get rid of any programming that says this is all about your baby or all about being a mom. It absolutely is about your baby. It's about being a mom. It's about being a parent, a father. But, mothers and fathers, partners still have a need for play. You still have a need for exercise. You have a need for support and connection. That need is not going to go away because you had a baby. You do have that need for nutrition, for rest. You also need time to connect with yourself and care for yourself in a nurturing way. You might need to have a good cry, and you might want your partner to hold your baby or your mother too, because you just need some time to cry, or maybe you're angry and you don't want to let that out when you're holding your child. You need some space. You can say, I need space, and that is self-care. That is good for you and your baby rather than stuffing it down. Sometimes those stuffed emotions can actually lead to depression in some people. So it is okay to cry and be angry and to ask for space. You still have feelings. They don't go away. You're still a whole human with a baby now. Another thing is, you might be hearing me say, like, you have a need for exercise, and thinking, how am I going to make this happen though? It is hard. Before you give birth, that's a great time to talk to your support system. Like, hey, I want to make sure I get a walk every day. It's associated with less postpartum mood disorders, and it's going to help me get my body to a healthy place afterwards and recover. Like, can you commit to being my cheerleader? Can you commit to holding our baby for the 30 minutes or an hour so I can do that? If you're already in the postpartum, your friend is multitasking. So you might feel a little fried, so you can put your baby in a stroller or a carrier. Babies love to be walked. I personally made a point of always walking about a mile with my son in a carrier every day in the light, because I felt like that was one of the most important things I could do for my mental health, my physical health, and it allowed my mind just to kind of blank out, think about things. Babies are really calm often in a carrier, so you're not kind of watching them and needing to feel like you need to entertain. They're just like sleeping, chilling. You can even go to a coffee shop when they reopen. So you might need to multitask. You might be talking on the phone while you cook dinner with the baby in the carrier. Like, that happens. Just be careful with the hot fluids, but multitasking is key. You have a need for play, for fun. So there's funny podcasts. You can put on a comedy show while you're cleaning your house. Like, families do so much cleaning and so much cooking, so much laundry. So make it fun. If you're breastfeeding, you might want to stare at your baby for a long time. Or if you're bottle feeding, you might want to stare at your baby for a long time. But especially breastfeeding, it's extremely frequent, especially in the beginning. So don't feel bad if you want to listen to some music, podcast, or watch your favorite show. Whatever helps you enjoy this process of being a postpartum mom and do what you need to do, that's awesome. Also, we're going to talk about next nurturing your calm, and like music can actually help with your letdown reflex. So sometimes what makes you feel happy and relaxed actually makes everything else in your life go better. If you are anxious and nervous and maybe not caring for yourself, you might have more adrenaline in your breast milk. You might be holding your baby a little more tense. When you care for yourself and you're in a more relaxed state, you're eating well, you're laughing, you talk to your friend on the phone, your child's going to pick up on that shift and probably feel a little more comfortable, might have a little less belly stuff. So it's just something to think about. So yeah, our next point is nurture your calm. And again, I love to poke fun at myself, but everyone says, meditate. Sometimes there's just so much that comes up in that silence, and it can be a lot to digest. And you might even be having flashbacks of an argument over who's changing the diaper, or you might be thinking about your labor all of a sudden, and that's not calming for you. So people who are in a moment where there's a lot going on sometimes actually benefit more from a guided visualization or some support with releasing tension. So if you are trying to be more mindful or trying to promote self-calming, it's okay if sitting on a mat doesn't work for you. There's so many ways to do this. There's great free resources like Insight Timer. They have wonderful guided visualizations about everything, whether it's reducing anxiety, falling asleep, feeling more motivated, feeling energized. Calm also is another app. There's so many apps, and most of them have many free offerings. So you can listen to that, while you're breastfeeding, while, most of them are safe while you're driving. Even if you are like, I've been really stressed today, I'm just going to make this happen. They often have relaxing music. It works on older kids. So sometimes maybe your 3-year-olds, running around and your teenager is a little bit upset. Like, you can actually put on some relaxing music or meditation. And they might not be doing that with you, but they are still hearing that calming voice. They're still listening in some part of their mind, and it can change that atmosphere around you. Because many moms do have older children. Music is great for that. I find there's a certain composer, Eric Satie, when I put him on, my son chills out. It's like a miracle. It's amazing. So they found that putting on relaxing music can help breastfeeding. It can help kids fall asleep. Part of it is it can regulate our breathing. So slower pace stuff, we're going to breathe slower, our muscles are going to relax more. If our mind is overactive, our mind has something to kind of focus on. Music can be sensual, it can be enjoyable. So if you're having a hard day, feed your senses, have some tasty food, listen to that music, watch that show, have your partner rub your shoulders. That's a great way to nurture your calm. Another thing, and this is maybe a bigger topic, is letting go of control. Especially when you're new at this, you want to do a perfect job, a lot of pressure. See you nodding. We may feel tempted to become quite controlling because we care so much. This is maybe one of the most important things, probably one of the most important things you've ever done. And that can mean turning away help sometimes. So maybe your mom, when your mom changes your son's diaper, your son cries more, and she kind of forgot how to do it, so she's relearning it. Or your partner can't quiet baby as well because your partner's not, breastfeeding or isn't as skilled at providing a bottle, or just is nervous, and your baby picks up on that. So you can take that child away, or say, I'll just change that diaper myself. Or you can take some deep breaths and sit back and let yourself know, like, this is my opportunity to receive help. I can be grateful for that. This is also my chance to grow personally and letting go of control. If your baby's in danger, absolutely, you need to say something, or if anything's happening that could hurt your child. But if your child is not being hurt and is being cared for, even if your child's fussy, sometimes people are caring for us grownups and we still like to fuss. It's normal, I just want to cry. I don't care. As long as they're not being hurt, it's okay to let someone else get their sea legs. And actually they have found, this just came out on a news organization, CNN, that some studies show that the more involved a father is, and I believe they're going to extend this to a support, a partner, be they male, female, the more involved they are from day one, from the beginning, with holding baby, diaper changes, the less likely they are to experience sort of postpartum depression as a partner, as a father. And they believe that that early contact really helps the bonding. That feeling of competency is really helpful, knowing how to integrate and be part of that new family. So we're still studying this, we're just looking at it, but we also have studies that, the more, when you care for something, you develop more connected feelings towards it. So by letting other people care for your child, they're actually bonding, and it's a really important process, and they're becoming better helpers. So, practice, if your nerves are frayed because it's really hard to hear your baby cry when you could just fix it, practice some deep breathing, practice gratitude, and remind yourself, is everyone actually okay? Is anyone dying? Is anyone being abused? And almost, hopefully the answer is no, everyone's okay, Any feedback we want to integrate? I was going to go over one more point under nurturing your calm, but
that is the perfect advice. I was literally just talking to my husband this morning. I was like, she's still crying when you're holding her, just give her to me. But I think that's a really important lesson in allowing your partner to also bond and find a way to calm the child. So great. Oh, this resonates with me right now.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yes. Well, it is really important, and that is the perfect segue to this last little bit under nurturing your calm, is asking for help, and that can feel very vulnerable. And sometimes when we ask for help, we're already way past the needing help stage, so we're like, "Can you help?" So you can totally choose to do that. I do that too often sometimes, especially as a new mom, feeling nervous and not being really comfortable with asking for help. So know that, you know, the earlier you ask for help, the more easily you can say like, hey, I could really use your help with this. Sometimes you might get a no answer and you can honor that. Sometimes no is the answer, or sometimes your partner doesn't understand where you are at. So sometimes you might need to go into details like, I could really use your help right now because I haven't slept in days and I feel like I am losing it. And if I don't get some help right now, I'm going to lose it. So could you please help me? Sometimes you have to be really clear about what is going on and that this is not like, you know, hey, do you have a free moment? Because if you're kind of nervous about asking, I'd be like, hey, I don't want to bother you. But, you know, if you need help, like be clear, you know, and that's needed, and no one's going to read your mind. Some people do have a partner that can sort of read their mind, but many of us do not. You have to be like blatant about it. Like, I need to go to the bathroom and I am not going to be rushed. So this is, again, you know, part about letting go of control, I think, is asking for help. And this is where I think sometimes you might notice that you have some blocks in this area, or that not being able to ask for help is really impacting your life. It might even impact it so much that you feel that you may need a medication or something to help with it. So if you're finding that asking for help is impacting your life, I would say the first step is actually to get some support in the form of maybe talk therapy, counseling. There are counselors who can be so helpful in promoting your ability to identify where this is coming from, and how you can ask in ways that can be heard, how you can advocate for yourself, maybe within your own relationship, and how to release anything that's blocking your ability to receive help. And for some people, this is critical, and it can actually be life-changing. Imagine your life where you're able to say what you need. Imagine your life where you're able to get help. Imagine your life where you're able to help others, and also say no to helping others if it's too much. So, you know, I feel that birth is transformative, but also the postpartum. And many individuals find that it is a time where they want to set a great example for their children, for their daughters. And they do a lot of personal work, not only to not just survive, but thrive, but also so that they can show their children what being a mom looks like, a mom that is striving for health, and what a healthy relationship can look like. So if it feels like you're suddenly opening to a lot of personal growth, like that's okay. It can be a lot, but it can also be really beautiful. My next big sort of closing tip on this checklist is to keep it simple and don't sweat the small stuff. You'll notice my list is not about buy this, buy that. You know, I really want this list to be about the parents caring for themselves, the mother receiving that care from friends and family and herself. You know, you don't maybe need all of those products. You know, it's very helpful, you know, when you're in labor, it can be helpful to know that women all over the world are giving birth, and that this has gone on for longer than we can remember as a collective. And it mainly works, right? Same thing with parenting. We've been parenting forever. We've been parenting in caves with animal furs. Like, we've been parenting through wars and as refugees. Like, there are, you know, sometimes I just like to, you know, meditate as a parent. Like, yeah, today's a really hard day, but when I think about, you know, there's a mother right now who is maybe fleeing her country because of war, and she's needing to do this day with so much less. And so even though I'm struggling, what resources do I have that can support me today? Don't sweat the small stuff. Gratitude can be a big part of reminding yourself that, yeah, that some of that smaller stuff is actually okay. Maybe your mother-in-law didn't agree with you, or your friend has a different parenting method, and, you know, or you kind of had a bad morning and you didn't give your child as much attention as you wanted. That's okay. We're going to have those days, and you can kind of zoom out and say, well, in this week, did I connect with my child? And in this week, did I mainly eat healthy? Whatever your goals were. You don't have to be perfect. You know, sometimes it's like, okay, now I'm going to be perfect because now I'm a mother and I have to try. You are going to crash and burn, because we all do. So it can be your mantra. You know, you can have a mantra like, I love and accept myself, even though I'm not perfect. You know, I love and accept myself, and am a growing human. So just like when your child is going to come to you like, look, I fed myself and there's food, like that, or my first drawing and the kid has more paint on themselves than the drawing, like that's going to happen. And I think most parents want to be the parent that's like, good for you, it's beautiful, let's keep working on that, like, oh, we're going to get the food in the mouth eventually, we're going to get the paint on the paper eventually. Same thing for yourself. I think sometimes as adults we expect ourselves to be the Da Vinci of parenthood when we've just never done it, and we're going to like aim for that mouth but wind up putting food everywhere else. And that's like part of learning. It gets easier in some ways with more kids, but there's more to juggle. And some days you are on it and some days you are not on it. And that is like going to be part of life. So be your cheerleader. One thing we can give ourselves as parents is an inner voice that reminds us of our humanity, that reminds us of our skill, that reminds us of all that we do. And if there is this inner voice that's beating you up, telling you you're not good enough, telling you things that are hurting you, that's not going to help you probably be a better parent. It's good to reflect and notice, what ways do I want to grow? But if you are, struggling with inner voices that are making it hard to parent, again, like having some support, talking to a friend, having her reassurance maybe, or talking to a counselor can really help, because not only by making sure we have a positive inner voice that treats us well, not only are we giving ourselves more energy and the support we need, but we're also modeling that for our kids, and we're going to be more able to be that positive voice in their life. So, as within, as without, put on your oxygen mask first, and then put it on your child. If you're in an airplane, like, as a parent, love on yourself and you will be able to love on your child that much more. That is such a truth for me. We all have different truths, but that just seems so clear and so critical. And when I say love on yourself, I mean, find out what helps you feel centered, feel like you're in yourself, in your body, and accepting of yourself. And yeah, bring that into your life. The last thing, just wanted to say, have fun, share your personality, show your child your favorite music. You get to be creative. You're not trying to be a cookie cutter parent. So share your passions in age appropriate ways and laugh about as much as you can, because this is going to be a long ride. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to have challenges. But I hope through really considering yourselves as parents and also your realistic, unrealistic expectations on how to prepare and how to meet the reality more head on, you can have a better time postpartum. So I think that might be my time. Any questions or?
I think that was it. That was an amazing session. And again, like I said, that resonated so well with me because I'm in that postpartum time right now. But we will, like I said, we'll record this session and post it along with the materials that you sent. But thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to, speak with us this morning and share, all of your knowledge and experience. And then, your information is also in our agenda and our brochure. So if, anyone wants to get in touch with you, they can certainly reach out to you directly. We also want to thank our summit sponsors, Dr. John Harding and Star Lactation, for their support in our resource summit and the Roanoke Valley. And hope that you all are able to join us for the rest of the day. We have a lot of sessions planned. And I know, Terry, you're going to be coming up soon in our coffee Q&A.
Yes, I will be. Thank you, HUM. I have to say HUM is a wonderful organization run by parents who, just know what the needs are and are so dedicated. So thank you for all of your beautiful work to make this